Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast. Well, once again, I appreciate anybody who's decided to join us for another episode of the Jaggernaut Podcast as we discuss the Jacksonville Jaguar football team in its current state. We're catching up a little bit. We've had some things going on and couldn't quite get together and do the show. So we've got two games to discuss and a giant elephant in the room. So we're going to start with catching up on the Arizona game.
Hey, Frank, I'm going to pause you right there. So I think it was last week, we had some bad news in the family. Our Uncle Clifford was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I'm going to just take a quick moment to say, Clifford, Annetta, we love you. We're with you. If there's anything that you think we can do, just let us know. And with that, I'm going to turn it right back over to you, sir.
No, that's good. I'm glad you did that. So let's start with the Arizona game. I was traveling. I was unable to sit down and watch that game. And in driving, it was basically, I was at the mercy of the NFL XM radio, NFL station, and they were going over every game. So I didn't really get a chance to delve into it. I did notice that from that sort of perspective, at some point, I realized, oh my God, we're actually winning this game. I think it was like 19-3, something like that. I forget what the score was. And then all of a sudden, we stopped. And when I came back to the vehicle, because I couldn't check for some reason I couldn't check my phone. I don't know. When I checked the score, it was 31-19, and I'm like, oh no. So then I watched the highlights. So it seemed to me that what I've seen so far is a progression. So absolute dumpster fire to start with the first game. There were things that were positive in the second game. We actually were beating a team that is one of the at this point, the only undefeated team in the NFL. Seems to be a very complete team. And yes, that does have something to do with them lagging from being traveling over, but nonetheless, we were winning that game. And it seemed to me that the reason why we were not able to complete that deal or even be competitive toward the end of the game was that failed botched flea flicker play that completely swung the whole game out of balance against us. And we could never get it back at that point. So I say all that to just give you my perspective and then hand it over to you because you got to watch it. And I'm just curious if that sort of, outside perspective is at all close. And if so, how much? And
that's exactly what happened in the game. Arizona came out. They had trouble moving the ball. They had trouble basically stopping us. We pretty much in that first half could do almost anything we wanted to do. We were making plays. We were moving the ball. Trevor looked really good. I don't think we were running as much as we probably should have, but sometimes game plans dictate. And so that was exactly it. And then we come out, I think Arizona turned around. They finally scored, so we get the ball back. There's only a few minutes left in the half. And then that's when we do the flea flicker. If Trevor Lawrence had just thrown the ball away. Now, I'm not upset with the flea flicker call because if you go back and you watch that play, don't watch who intercepted it. Watch 10 yards behind him, and you will see a wide ass open DJ Chark. Had the line held and blocked and just sort of did their job just a little bit longer, that was 7 points right there. I mean, he was open, and I am going to say that I think Trevor Lawrence makes that throw, and boom, that's a touchdown. So you got a team, they just came back, they just scored. You you still have momentum on your side. And then it's just it's the line just didn't look like they knew what they were doing. I want to blame it on the running back, but the running back, he was making sure he got Trevor the ball, so he wasn't able to pick up the blitz. They blitzed, JJ Watt right there came in. It forced a quick throw, and then it ended up being extremely errant. And then once that happened, Uncle Mo, Mr. Momentum, swung right back to the Cardinals, and then we could not get anything going. I will say we went into halftime, and we were still winning. So I'm like, okay, we're still winning. We can still come out and do this. We kicked off. They took it right back down and scored. Right. That's when they took the lead. So we get the ball, and we are driving. Right. We're moving the ball. And I'm like, hell yeah, not same old Jags. We're going to put, 6 up on the board. We're going to make this shit a game. We're down on their 30. And James Robinson cuts in front of Trevor Lawrence to pick up a blitz on the opposite side, and he hits the ball out of Trevor's hand. It's a fumble. They recover. After that, we couldn't get anything going. So that's exactly what happened in the game. We didn't win, but we beat ourselves, I guess. But I see that the fact that when you go from the Houston game and you watch that game, you see positive. You see a team getting better, working to get better. And I think it showed there that we actually were able to not only hang with them, but beat them for a half. And I know, there are no moral victories in the NFL. But as a Jags fan, you're trying to look for anything you can get, anything positive. So
no, that's the thing, people, I know that's the goal. That's a goal, not to have to rely or look and count moral victories. That's not where we are. I mean, that's just the fact of it, where we are at this point attempting to set or getting close to setting a record for the amount of consecutive losses. I think we're tied for third. So,
I think so.
We're in a bad state right now as far as actual wins go. And the only way you can, it's reasonable for me as a Jag fan to go, so again, because of the way we started with Houston, where it's all about trajectory. You have to look and say, where are we? What's the state of the franchise? And so it does, as of the Arizona game, it appears to be an upward trajectory, regardless of circumstances leading to an actual numerical victory. You have to judge the losses that we've had as they are, and that's what we got to do. So I think in that case you have to go, okay, we'll take a moral victory because
we have nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's better. This sort of loss is better than the Houston loss. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And if anybody, thinks that's crazy, or, in other words, that you can't sit there and beggars can't be choosers at this point, and we have to take what we can get. That was a really good team that we faced, and we played well, and that's the bottom line, and that's the way you got to look at it. Okay, we circumstances being different, just like what you said. Football is a game of inches. If somehow somebody had gotten to JJ Watt, or they sold it better, or whatever it was, giving Trevor that extra split second that he needed to deliver that ball to Chark, my gosh, you could be talking about something totally different.
Yep.
A totally different Jaguar team And like you said, momentum's huge. We see it all the time. And so, yeah, it's a reasonable thing to say that, the ball bounced against us, sort of. They got players too. They get paid and to make plays. So they made some plays, and it got us. So, but yeah, we're starting to make better plays. I mean, if there's been a theme of this podcast, it's when are we going to look like a professional football team? And, forget wins or losses at this point. I just want a professional product, and it appears we're putting one on the field finally. And that's, you can call it a moral victory. I don't care. I just want a professional product.
Right. Just want to look like we belong.
Okay. So
I completely. Yeah. Let's move. So what we're going to do is we're going to segue directly into the Cincinnati game. So we're going to take our moral victory from the Cardinals, right? And then we're going to travel up to Cincinnati. Dude, we came out guns blazing.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. We were firing. Not only were we firing, but we were moving the ball in the run game. The run game helped open up the pass game. Trevor was sharp. I was happy with the game because in the NFL, as you just said, it's a game of inches. What you want is you want to be in the game with the game on the line with 5 minutes to go. We lost. Okay, we lost. Yep. We lost not because of Trevor Lawrence, which had been the case in the Cardinals game. We lost not because our whole team just looked like complete crap in the Houston game. We lost because of our defense. Like when we needed a stop, we could not stop any of the underneath routes. What bothered me the most about Cincinnati is Houston killed us with underneath routes. Right. Arizona didn't run a lot of underneath routes, and we hung with them. And yet here comes Cincinnati, and they're praising Joe Burrow like he's some, supreme God. No, he's not. He's good. I'm not taking anything away from him. But our linebackers were fucking horrid. They were horrid in pass coverage. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. There were missed tackles. One led directly to a touchdown. So make the damn tackle, because on the next play, it could be an interception. It could be a fumble. It could be something, but we hung with them. Not only did we hang with them, we were actually leading for most of the game. What bothers me though, is it looks like they just were able to flip a switch and right to the tight end, right to the crosser with Boyd. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, run the ball. 1, 2, 3. I did like this though. In order to run the ball against us, they had to bring in an extra offensive lineman. So I like that. That means that teams are having to go super big on us to actually move the ball with their running game. If you want to win in the NFL, you have to stop the run. You want to make them one-dimensional, and I think we did that to a point, but we didn't get home with our pass rush when we needed to. They went to a very quick and short passing scheme, and they attacked us where basically Houston did, right underneath, right at the linebacker level, and we didn't have an answer for it. Now, this is the second time, Joel Colin, get your shit together. You've been attacked in the same damn area twice, and twice the other team was successful. You gonna do something?
Yeah, well, I think that what we're dealing with is talent issue. I think one of the things that I kind of remember thinking, and I was, we talked about this because I thought it was interesting that in the beginning of the build up to the season, one of the things that was talked about was our wide receivers, and they were talking these wide receivers up. And if you remember, I brought up the fact that they were saying, Tavon Austin and Laquan Treadwell,
Yep.
These players, these retreads, they're like, oh, they look great. And I remember thinking, oh no, because everybody's looking at it in terms of them being good and not who they're playing against being bad, because it's one thing to have one guy the light switch goes. It's like, oh, he's finally playing up to, because we see that from time to time, whatever it
Right.
is.
He's finally put it together.
Yeah.
He's got his troubles out of the way.
But there was like,
balling.
there was 3 guys. What is it? What's the other guy? Dorsett. There's 3 guys they're saying we have retreads, and they're all switches just went on. It's possible, because maybe what they're doing on the offensive side fit whatever. But then we saw in the Houston game that we don't have offensive geniuses running that ship, because and we can talk about something else that doesn't seem like to be very genius like in regards to offensive scheme that we saw in the Bengals game. But it seems to me we are severely lacking talent in the secondary. We have guys that we want to be good. They seem like, we paid them like they're good. Like, I don't, with Shaq, I don't know much about him in Seattle. They paid him like he's good, Tyson Campbell, I mean, he seems promising. He seems like he's always there. Just never makes a play, though, it doesn't seem. You remember that play that AJ Green made where it was just this awkward thing where he just couldn't make a play. AJ Green was just like keeping him away from the ball while it's taking forever to get there, and he still couldn't make a play. So we just don't have playmakers on defense. We don't have anybody dynamic. We thought Miles Jack was, and you mentioned the linebackers, he's playing bad. So it's not like
in coverage, we're getting killed.
Yeah.
And that's just it. They're playing good against the run. They're good against the run. It's just in coverage they're getting killed. That's one of the things I thought about Miles Jack was I thought he was supposed to be a good coverage linebacker because he's fast, but he's not. He's not. And not only that, I don't know. Sometimes I can't tell immediately whether they're playing zone or not. And it seems like to me, teams don't even have to flood a zone. It's like if Jack or Damien or Miles Jack or Damian Williams drops back in coverage, they have no idea if a guy is in their zone or not. So it's like I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think I'm putting this. Yeah, I will say that there's definitely a lack of talent, and it seems that way. But I think Joel Colin, I don't know what to say. I mean, win one for the Gipper. Like, I mean, I don't know what to say because he's not imaginative. I mean, we heard all this Baltimore shit, right? Well, Baltimore can cover on the back end. Their linebackers can do that. Ours can't. So if we can't, then don't run that kind of stuff.
Here's something that needs to be said. Trent Baalke makes the decisions apparently in regards to player personnel. I assume Urban has some say in it as well. Ultimate say, maybe, I don't know. Joe Schobert and CJ Henderson are good coverage guys. They are now gone, and those decisions were made in this season. So we decided we're not going to keep guys who can cover. Did we think we had other guys? Did we think our other guys could? So that's the issue. And I think
so
whatever it is.
Schobert, I 100% agree. I don't know why we shipped him out. Doesn't make sense to me. At that point, so far, Trent Baalke, his selections, they're not doing very well. I mean, outside of Trevor Lawrence, which it's Trevor Lawrence, but everybody else, they're not doing very well. His free agencies, they're not doing very well. His trades, dude, you're shipping decent players. They're not great, but they're decent players. You're shipping them out for fucking nothing. And we know that you got money. So it's not a money issue or a cap issue. So what really are you doing? Yeah. So I don't know. It could be just another poor quality GM, We've had that.
He didn't have a good stint in San
in
Francisco.
San Francisco, right? So
They
again,
shipped
but
him out and they
we-
brought in John Lynch, and then all of a sudden they started getting talent in.
yeah,
It is what it is. I mean, it gets a little tiresome because and you want I hope he's better. I mean, I don't know, but it's just one bad GM after another. And when you do that, I mean, CJ Henderson was last year's draft pick and he's gone. I mean, I don't understand why this team has this problem. We don't need to get into it. It is what it is. It's just like, but the problem is that you're never going to succeed if that's what you're going to continue to do. You have to draft players and have them make some sort of, you have to have players that you want to pay on a second contract or want to stay here or don't, I mean, don't have substance abuse problems or whatever it is that always seems to keep us from, you know, they have some disgruntled issue with the front office, Ramsey, CJ Henderson. I mean, think about that. Ramsey, we could, well, you can't pay him. And I get it. I got it at the time, but we got to get rid of him. We're going to draft CJ Henderson. He didn't want to be here, or he's got a mental problem or whatever, or emotional problem. I don't know what the issue is. Nobody, you know, it's sort of a cloudy haze, but whatever it is, it was not working here. Had all the physical gifts, but if you keep doing that as a team, and that's where we're at now, we've got a limited roster because other teams, they draft players that I don't know play. They just play. You're not going to hit everything, but we miss everything. That's the problem we've got. And so far, you know, we're good with Trevor Lawrence, right? Just like you said. We think Josh Allen's good, but he's kind of average right now. I mean, he's not really, he looks like he should be dynamic, but he's really not.
Take over. Yeah,
right
he's not good enough to take over a game.
And it's fine. Like, that's not a big deal. But when that's what you have to show for how many years of draft picks, you know, we literally have nothing to show for all of our draft picks. If we draft, you can almost say if we draft somebody, they will not be on our team in 3 years from the point in time we draft them. It's very strange. I don't understand but anyway, that's the problem we're dealing with, in my opinion. I agree.
It's a lack of talent. And now early in the season, year one, we're already questioning the talent evaluator and his acquisitions.
And that's why when it comes to what we're seeing, the secondary is Swiss cheese. That's why those receivers were not flipping switches in their careers. That's also why it wasn't, you go, okay, it isn't an offensive game theory going on, because this is the same guy, Bevel. You mentioned this before, the notorious play in the Super Bowl, where instead of just running Marshawn Lynch, he did a pass on the 1 yard line. To me, he did something similar, 4th and 1 or 4th and goal. And I don't have a problem with us going for it. Okay. Not shotgun, draw, quarterback, whatever that was. That sucks. That sucks.
So I listened to Urban Meyer on that. Now, apparently on that play, it was supposed to be a pitch to James Robinson, but the defensive end went and broke toward James Robinson, taking away Trevor's ability to pitch. So Trevor kept the ball and tried to get in. I, however, completely agree with you. Next time it's 4th and 1, you put Trevor under center and you tell him to fall forward. Every fucking team does it but us. Why? Well, welcome to Jacksonville, because that's what we do. We are a combination of poor talent, bad play calls, and just, well, at this point, horrible coaching.
Yeah.
So with that, let's
good segue, right?
Yeah, let's segue right on into it. So if you guys don't know lately, what's been popping up is Urban Meyer. Apparently he's an ass dude. I didn't know that. We do now, because he was caught with his hand, and I mean his hand was in that cookie jar.
So so the first video, I sort of thought, does he know?
No big deal. No big deal.
Yeah, it
right?
was like, okay, I could see, because here's the way, let me build up a little bit my perspective. So I saw this on social media. I got to a website that was hosting the information. The website seemed to be a very nasty, snipey, left-leaning, hateful website, like targeting Urban. So I thought, I'm not going to jump on this, because for all you know, the footage they showed, they stopped it. And but if they had kept going, Urban would have said, ma'am, could you kind of, you're getting a little close. You don't know that that's not what happened. But then you see the second video, and then you realize the initial thing you thought was actually what it was. And so but by the time I saw the second video, I'd already heard Urban with his, gosh, I'm just so stupid. It was a stupid thing to do. And I shouldn't be a distraction. Coaches aren't supposed to be a distraction. They just wanted to dance. They're trying to get me on the dance floor. It's like, okay, you go, all right.
Dude, your analogy is killing me.
Yeah, it's the hokey, the sheepishness
right
bothers me, because he's been doing it. Like, this is now what's making this difficult for me, is because this is a guy, and I've mentioned this before, it's been grating on me that he's a little too humble. Like, I like humble. He's ridiculously so. It's like, I'm just a college coach, not like Shoddy's been in the league. Bevel's been in the league. Like, come on, man. Football's football. I don't want the guy that I've spent tons of money on talking like that. He doesn't sound like somebody that's that's
confident.
Yeah, he's not exuding confidence in those moments. Now, there are other moments that he's great, but in those instances, I'm thinking, well, why are you in charge then? It's like, you sound like somebody that ought not be in charge then. That's the way you're talking. And so then you add to the fact that he didn't go on the plane with the team. And then that happened. So it's like, so why are you here? What benefit do you bring at this point? And that's my biggest problem, is the complexion changed drastically for me. And what I feel like I'm seeing is a fraud. This guy sounds like a politician. He sounds like somebody, because remember, they talk about him as if he's the CEO type of coach. Have you heard them say this? Like, he's a CEO coach.
I can't recall, but
okay. So that tells me he's not like an X's and O's coach. No, people don't go, oh, the genius, Urban Meyer, he's a CEO coach. And then if you get a CEO guy who talks like a politician, that means all he's good at doing is manipulating others, putting people around him to do that are actually good at their job. And that's what he does. So he's just a politician to me, and he's kind of a fraud now. In my mind, he's just a fraud. And because when you say what you said about, well, they're getting me out on the dance floor type stuff, that's a lie. That was a bold-faced lie. And apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently he pushed that lie to the players as well. See, I almost have, if he says that to the media and the fans, you can see a public relations angle where he has to say that. I'd almost give him a little grace on that. But when you're telling your players the lie, that means you're a liar. That means you're
okay. So, but that's that's possible, but we weren't there, so we don't know that's what he told his players. So for me, I agree. He is potentially at this point a fraud. He is definitely much a liar. But I have a few issues with this. Okay, so my first issue is yes, he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Public relations wise, he couldn't come out and say, "Yep, I molested that young lady." You know, that's what you're gonna see. That's what's gonna come out. You know, he couldn't say that. So, but when it comes to the talk of he's losing the team, he's losing the locker room. Okay, you're talking about a locker room full of athletes who have had vagina thrown at them since probably middle school or early high school because they were superstars. Somewhere along the lines, they've either done something just as similar, went to a club with their homies, with their boys, hanging out. Some girl groupie walks up, starts shaking her ass. She's okay that he's feeling on her. She's okay with it. She wants it. She's asking for it. So he starts feeling on it. Same Urban, as far as we know, same thing happened to Urban Meyer, right? You can't tell me that now you're upset that this happened to the coach. So one thing I heard was that when Urban Meyer left the room after basically he gave the team an apology, everybody started laughing at him. You know why they were laughing? They were laughing because it's probably the first time a coach has gotten caught. You've heard of players getting caught. You've heard of owners. Who's the guy from New England? Old dude.
Bob Kraft.
Bob Kraft. He went into a massage parlor. He got a happy ending. He got caught, you know? So now, but all of these players have either probably cheated on their wives, cheated on their girlfriends, or had a similar situation happen to them. This is, I think, part of being a celebrity, being famous, being a pro ball player. And if you're a coach, you're just like that too. You know, to me, this doesn't have anything to do with me. It doesn't have anything to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It doesn't have anything to do with the players. It has to. This is between him and his wife. That's what really this is about. And to her, I'm sorry, girl, because I know this sucks. But that's who it's between. It's not between. So this stuff that you hear in the media that, oh my God, these players, they can't trust him. They can't believe him. Okay, well, maybe that's true to a point, but it's not doomsday. And it shouldn't be doomsday. And I don't think it should be looked at as doomsday. Because
here's the issue for me. And I kind of understand everything you just said. And that's true. Everything you said is valid. But here's the problem. He didn't get on the plane with the players. And apparently that's just something you don't do. So that's the biggest issue that I have. And so I'm trying to put myself in Shad Khan's position. I've signed you to a guaranteed multi-year contract where you're basically making, I don't know, 12, 15 million. I don't even know what he makes a year.
Yeah, somewhere between 10 and 15 million a year.
Like he's like, oh, I'm staying at home. I'm staying in town to see the grandbabies. Okay. He could have done that too. Okay. So I'm not saying that's a lie. The problem is this. You don't like it when he stands in front of him, he goes, well, I'm learning this is how you do this in the NFL. And this is how, well, you don't do that in the NFL. You don't stay. That's one thing I've heard. And I don't know. This is something I've never really thought about, but apparently that never happens. The head coach doesn't travel back with his team. Apparently that never happens. And that's the biggest problem for me.
But does it ultimately matter? The players are off for the next 2 to 3 days. Herb's off for the next 2 to 3 days. He has his family right there. You know, does it ultimately matter? I mean, no, man. These guys are professionals. Man, please take the panties off, put your big boy pants on. You get paid to block, you get paid to catch. You don't get paid to say who's on the damn plane. That ain't your job.
Well, I get that.
Do your job.
But I get that, and that's valid. from the player's perspective. I'm asking you from Shad Khan's perspective.
Oh, from Khan's perspective,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm starting to write all this down. And when he crosses over to a point to where I can get him out of that contract without paying, then I think that's maybe what I do.
And see, there you go. And that's the problem. The fact that we're even thinking about it from that way tells you how bad of an issue this actually is.
But I think you have to. I mean, I think you have to. He's an employee, right? You show up, you perform.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you get fired. That's sort of the real world. That's how it happens. Now, yeah, he has a contract that's sort of giving him some protection. But if he keeps slipping up like this, that protection is going to go fast. And once it does, go ahead and send him on out the door.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing when you just sent CJ Henderson out the door, when you keep seeing people like we brought Coughlin in to save the day, and then we sent him packing like he's some sort of leper. And then now we brought Meyer in as a hero, and now he's already, and this is the problem I've got. It's not just the Meyer situation and the awkwardness of it. It's, man, this is happening to us again. And why does this always happen to our team?
But it's not just our team. Tampa Bay did it. They went through it for a long time. Cleveland recently did it. They went through it for a long time. It's almost like taking a shot on a quarterback, right? Some teams have drafted nine QBs in like the last 5 years before they finally got their guy. Sometimes you're going to go through this churn, especially in the NFL, because you bring these people in and they give you this great song and dance. And then once it starts to come to fruition, you realize that what they sold you was nothing but magic beans. I mean, it was nothing. So then you got to start all over. And that happens. And unfortunately, we're in that cycle. And yeah, right now, at this moment, I have a real hard time believing that Balky and Meyer are going to break that cycle.
And that's the big thing. It's like, so Meyer comes in and he says he's really invested in, the people of Jacksonville really deserve a good product and a winning team. And
that is right.
No, I know he's right.
He's right. We're good fans.
But that comes back to the point that I now have, or the perspective that I've now sort of come to with Urban. You liars say things they know will be powerful or useful. But you tell the difference of whether they mean it by comparing their words to their actions. And his actions were, I'm going to go to this bar that I own and do this thing. And I think he was wearing an Ohio State thing or something too. So it's like, That's not sold out for us. That's not really focused for us. That's you. That's you being you. And look, and I'm not going to sit there and say, he needs to be, he can't have downtime. I mean, my gosh, because he needs downtime to do his job effectively. And that, so I'm not saying that, but I am saying that when everybody else is leaving on the jet and you're not, I don't think that you are as
bought in as you claim.
Yeah, I don't think you care about winning for us like you claimed, because the rest of the team went.
Yep.
And
it's quite possible. And maybe the players being players and have been through this, maybe that's why they haven't bought into Urban. It's because they know he's a charlatan.
And that's what bothers me. It's like once, and look, a charlatan, if he's good, you can be successful. Like, I bought into Urban's talk and now I'm not. And I wonder, are the players that way?
And that's quite possible. Yeah.
And then that leads to, what do you do if you're Shad Khan and you realize that? Then now you've got a big issue on your hands, because you're paying this guy a ton of money. And if it comes to a thing where, he's like, oh, Shad Khan's such a great guy, and that's what he's saying, and he's pretending like they didn't have a conversation where Khan's basically going, man, I didn't bring you in for this. What are you doing?
And I think realistically, hopefully, that's the conversation they had. Like, dude, you're fucking this up all over the place. You did this, you did that, you did this, you did that. What are you doing? I didn't bring you in for that. You either straighten it out, or I'm going to start stacking up my reasons to fire you.
And I wonder if that's what because if he's the type of person I'm worried he might be, I think he'll never quit. He won't do the honorable thing and say, I'm going to give up on the contract.
Based on that second video, he's not an honorable guy.
Right.
That's at least, at least if you're a petite blonde.
So he's going to pretend like to Khan, he's going to pretend like, oh, I don't, like, I'm not really understanding why
this isn't working.
Yeah. Why
I'm doing all I can. Yeah.
And he'll never go, yeah, I'm going to, he's never going to own it. That's the thing. Never going to own it.
Well, because he doesn't own it now.
I don't know. I'm hoping that's not the case.
No.
But if the players are not bought into and he is somebody who practices what he preaches, at least most of the time, and he does believe in owning it, if that's true, he should quit. I mean, and I hate to say that, because that's one of the biggest knocks against the guy, is that he's a quitter, but I'm worried now. And that's all. I don't know what's going on. It's like with CJ Henderson. Okay. I didn't know what was going on, but when the smoke was in the air, there's fire somewhere. I don't know what's on fire. I don't know what it is about the guy, but they shipped him out. So that was true. And I'm worried now that Meyer's the same problem, that,
Yeah. And it could be, and that's it. All we have to do is just, only time can tell. But I agree. He's not going to quit. He's not going to quit. If anything, he'll fake a heart attack or a brain aneurysm, or, he'll have something like that.
Well, it makes me wonder if all those other issues were cover stories for something else.
Oh, it's possible.
That's what I'm worried about now. And that we hired this guy when there was information out there that, yeah, Urban's a good coach, but he's got these demons.
He's got these issues.
He likes to go, because I mean,
he likes co-eds.
Well, and here's the problem I've got. He makes his comment. It's like, I got to quit coaching because I've got to spend time with the family. And it's like, you don't seem like a family guy though, And so that, to me, it's like, maybe he wants to be, and maybe that's, so anyway, I think it's a scary thing for me. There's something to that makes me a little nervous about his character at this point, in a way that I was not. Right. Like, I wasn't a fan of hiring him, but I went 180 degrees. And I thought, oh man, I know why people play for him. I know why he's been successful. I can tell, I'd play for this guy. And that was the way I was talking about it. Now I'm back to where I was. And it sucks.
Well, I'm sorry you're there. But I can definitely agree that yeah, something may be lingering, but I don't think it's as big an issue as the national media portrays it. Like I said, I think the biggest thing is between Urban and his wife. Yeah, doesn't have anything to do. So a lot of the headlines I've been reading, to me, it's just clickbait. They're not adding anything. They don't know shit.
No, you brought up some good points about a way to look at. So what they said could be true, but the way they phrase it, which is what the media does, makes it seem like they're laughing at him, but it could just be like, heck, this is how guys talk, right? I mean, we laugh we cut on each other. We laugh, it's kind of like, you don't go, you don't compliment each other. It's almost like if you cut somebody down, that's almost an implied compliment, So that's
Correct.
how
Yep.
guys tend to talk a lot of times. So you could see it being something like that, and the media
Yeah,
goes,
and
they're laughing
yeah,
at Urban.
they're laughing at him. They don't believe in him. No, they're laughing at him because he got caught. And as a guy, that's sort of what you do. Especially when you've been in that situation, or when you've gone through it, or when you've had to deal with something like that. You're like, he got caught. Normally it's the players always getting thrown under the bus, like, oh, look at this guy, he's with this porn star, or look at this, he's with that. Oh, look at what that guy did. It's almost always the players, but every now and again it's an owner. And right now it's a coach, and it's our coach. So how long will he be our coach? I don't know.
Well, maybe there's part of this that maybe it galvanizes the team in some strange way. I don't know. We'll see. As we're doing this, it's Saturday, so tomorrow's Sunday.
Hey, we got the Titans, and that
so.
is not an easy. We're bringing back Derrick Henry. Welcome home, buddy. I still think it's one of the
We don't
biggest,
want you here.
one of the biggest tragedies is you have this guy balling out in Yulee, goes to Alabama, balls out in Alabama. Somehow we don't draft him.
A lot of teams passed on him.
Yeah.
I didn't think he would translate as well either, but
Well,
he's just a man among
for tomorrow, I hate
men.
for
I wouldn't
tomorrow.
say boys.
For tomorrow, I dislike him, and he's the damn enemy. But
Yeah.
other than that, I can't hate him.
No,
So-
it's hard to hate. He's just he's a workhorse. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to talk up a
See?
Titan.
Yep.
We hate
So
the Titans.
anyway, we got the Titans tomorrow. Yes, we do hate them. So
Well,
we'll see.
I think we
I
hit
mean-
what we wanted to hit and talked about what we wanted to talk about. So
Yeah, I mean, if we come out and we look like we did in Houston, I think he's fair to say he might have lost the team. But if we come out and we are competitive, or even if we are beating them at a point, and in that last 5 minutes, we have a chance to win that game, I'm not sure he loses. I'm not sure he lost the team. And I think the media is wrong. The media is often wrong, So anyway, don't know. Only time will tell.
all right, well, that'll do it for the show. And I guess, do the thing. If you like it, share it, and thumbs up and all that stuff.
Duval. There, I'll throw that out there. I almost let one go last night at the Shinedown concert. I was thinking about it.
No, we actually did do a Duval.
Oh, you
I
did?
forget there was some sort of moment where it was pertinent to like he was talking about. It was Klinger when he was talking about. I think that was when it happened.
Oh, okay. No, I went and got a beer.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So I wasn't there for that one. All right.
Yeah, you missed it. I think there was a lot of Duvals there.
Okay.
So at that point. All righty. Well,
All right,
until
guys,
next
thanks.
time.